Right now, you're doing too much. You're the recruiter, the sales rep, the admin, the marketer, all rolled into one. But to hit seven-figure revenue, you need to step into the CEO role. The seven-figure freedom scorecard identifies exactly where you're getting stuck, whether it's delegation, sales, marketing, or scaling your team, and it gives you a clear plan to fix it. In less than 10 minutes, you'll get a personalized report that shows you the biggest roadblocks slowing your growth, where to focus for the fastest revenue gains, and how to build a business that runs without you doing everything. Take the free assessment now at recruitmentcoach.com/scorecard.
I have a dog. I always clean up what my dog did, right? There's times that people aren't looking. I could leave it, but the right thing to do is to pick up from what the dog did, right? It's doing those things when you're not being watched, just like you're being watched. If you treat people right and you work on building good relationships with people, you're going to have, as I said, a long-term business.
During his 44-year career in recruiting, Rich Bradley has built $28 million. But in his first 7 months, he didn't make a single placement, and he came very close to giving up.
I sucked in the beginning. 6 months went blank, no placements, nothing. This manager just kept sticking with me. He kept trying, and I just wasn't getting it.
He actually told his boss that he was quitting. He put his stuff in a cardboard box and was almost out the door. Then he heard his colleagues talking about him behind his back. And what they said caused him to have a complete change of heart.
I did the proverbial walk. I went to my desk and got stuff, put it in a box, and I go to walk out. And I hear some of the not nice comments that these people were sitting there saying.
He turned around and went back to his desk.
I turned around and I walked back to my desk, put the box on my desk, and I said, I'll see you guys on Monday.
Within 1 week, he'd made 2 placements, and that was the moment when everything clicked.
I had nothing in the works. I had no send-outs going on, no job orders, nothing. By Friday, I had made 2 placements. From then on, I was like, oh, I get it. If you commit, you're all in. This is a fun business. I ended up making 14 placements in those September through December. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm hooked. I like this. This is fun.
To find out what he overheard and why it had such a profound impact on him, keep listening. Welcome to the Resilient Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Whitby, and my guest today is Rich Bradley. Rich is the founder of Team Bradley, and he's a Pinnacle Society member for nearly 30 years. What were you doing 30 years ago? I hadn't even begun my recruitment journey. Rich was already a top biller and being inducted into the Pinnacle Society. Rich believes success comes down to cadence and commitment, not talent or luck. He also breaks down the daily habits and business development techniques behind 4 decades of consistent billings. But most importantly, this episode is about the psychology of success. Rich is very candid. He does not hold back. He shares some extremely painful experiences and how they drove him to achieve extraordinary results. Hi, Rich. Great to see you again.
Hey, Mark. Nice to be here.
I think last time we caught up was at the Pinnacle Society conference were you in Atlanta?
Well, I think I was.
I definitely remember sitting beside you at lunch in Savannah, Georgia. I think we've met a couple of times, right?
Definitely Savannah.
Yeah.
Some of our meetings kind of blur together. Where were we when we had these conversations?
Yeah, exactly. They sort of melt together. How long have you been a Pinnacle member?
I started in Pinnacle in 97. So I'd been in the business for about 15 years because I started in 82, learned about Pinnacle, worked hard to get in, and been in since 97. So it's been
wow. You must be one of the longest standing members.
Yeah, Diana has been there longer.
Yeah.
Mike Goldman.
Mike's been on the show before.
Maybe a couple others, but
Okay.
I guess I'm getting to be the long in the tooth. Where I used to be the baby.
Yeah, that's funny. It's such a great gang of people. Really enjoy every time I get to hang out with you guys at Pinnacle. So listen, this is maybe a curveball question, Rich. What do I need to know about you kind of growing up that would help me understand who you are today and your business journey?
Wow. That is a curveball question. Nice. Nice. Throw that at me right in the beginning. I actually did not have a great childhood. I had abusive alcoholic parents that um, I ran away from at like about 15 and continued high school. I was fortunate enough, I went to a church and they found somebody to take me in. So I finished high school and then I just had a million jobs between that and when I started in the recruiting world. And so I learned a lot of different things, learned things I didn't like, things I wasn't good at. So it was definitely a nomadic life for the longest time. So,
Gosh, I did not know that story, Rich. And what, if any, impact do you think that those early experiences have had on like your success in business or in life?
the gentleman who was my stepfather at the time, as I said, he was abusive and an alcoholic. So it was I'd see the signs and I'd know, oh, I'm in trouble today. But he was just a very mean man, and words that for the longest time still rang in my head is "you're going to amount to nothing." And there was some swear words in there as well. But I mean, it was just a constant voice that I heard in my head for years, and so that would drive me. And I would have, I would do really, really well, and then that voice would kick in, and then I would kind of sink for a while, and so it took a long time for me to just get over that. So, um, you're hitting me with a hard question right in the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't. You never know what you're going to get sometimes
Yeah.
when you ask these questions. So, thank you for sharing that. And wow, I'm blown away that you went through that is horrendous. But so how, you said you had about like hundreds of jobs. Any that kind of eventually steered, like, how did you end up in recruiting? And any of those jobs help you, do you think?
I think they all helped. Um, as I say, either showed me kind of things maybe I was good at or things that I was not good at. I mean, I worked everywhere from Dunkin' Donuts to an antique store, dusting all the different pieces, mowing lawns, delivering newspapers, um, selling newspapers. The guy who would stand at the grocery store and hand you a paper and say, "Hey, do you want a subscription now that I gave you a free newspaper?" Just all sorts of different types of positions. I ended up getting a role as a manager at a restaurant, which was an interesting way that I ended up getting the job. But I walked in and was managing the restaurant. 10 minutes later, the guy, I walked in and he basically handed me the keys and said, "Okay, I'm out." And I had no clue how to make the food, nothing. He just wanted out and he just walked out.
That's pretty bizarre. What?
It was a strange. I mean, I don't want to take the audiences. This isn't really kind of pertinent to recruiting, but it was the weirdest thing actually. The lady at the travel agency, it was in a mall travel agency, came over to get a drink, and "Who are you?" I'm like, I told her, and she goes, "Where's Bob?" I'm like, "He handed me his keys and he left." And she's like, "Oh my God, well, I don't get busy till the afternoon and I'll help you because I'm over here all the time." So she's the one that actually showed me some of the different things. And then a part-time person showed up in the afternoon. "Who are you?" I went through the story again. So then she showed me how to open the safe and how to deposit money into the bank. And so I ran the place for several weeks. This guy walks in a couple weeks later and was like, "Who the heck are you?" Although he used a different word. And I tell him in the story, and he's like, "Like hell, this is my store." And so he walked, "Where's my money? And where's this? And where's that?" And so I had showed him I had done ordering of supplies. I'll show them all the bank receipts. He's like, all right, well, I guess you're doing a good job. I guess we need to put you on the payroll. I'm like, I already took care of that. What? I'm like, yeah, this is what I did. He goes, well, how much are we paying you? And I told him the number. And he goes, I'm not going to pay a newbie that. And I'm like, well, that's what the other guy was making. And he goes, all right, fine. So it was the strangest thing ever. So,
That
um,
is probably the worst into the deep end story I've ever heard. I thought recruiting was like a sink or swim. That was literally like you were absolutely on your own. So here, look, let me pull out a couple of common themes, Rich. First of all, you were obviously working hard from a young age. And number two is like you weren't afraid of doing difficult things, like I can't think of a bigger challenge as a young person than figuring out how to manage a restaurant without any, like, if you can do that, then you can do pretty much anything, right? So how did you get into the business?
well, the restaurant chain was owned by 7-Eleven, and so Southland Corporation. And I was there for 3 years, and just one day, a guy that I told you walked in. He was the general manager. Said, "Hey, I got bad news. We've been a tax write-off long enough. They're closing the chain." And I'm like, "Well, now what the heck am I going to do?" Because all these positions that I had were stumbled into. I mean, I didn't ever interview. I didn't do anything, right? And I remembered that there was this guy that had come in one day and had said, "Oh my gosh, hey, you're really good at what you're doing. If you're ever looking for a job, give me a call." Okay, I need a job. And I had a little baby at the time, 6-month-old baby. And so I called him up and went over to the place and interviewed. I got interviewed by 7 or 8 different managers, and all of them took a pass, said, yeah, no, not this guy. And ended up lucking out that there was one other manager that interviewed me, and he basically just wanted to show all the rest of them that they were wrong. So he ended up hiring me, and that's how I ended up in the business. So
Wow. So wait a second. You were recruited essentially by a customer at the restaurant, someone who you served who thought you were good at what you did and invited you to talk to him if you were looking for a new job.
yeah, he was the owner of the place. And yeah, I asked him later. I'm like, why did you even think I was going to be good at this? And I don't know if you've been in restaurants where people are trying to upsell you. I mean, I basically, I'll just take a pizza and a small drink, and I'm like, well, for 10 cents more, you get a large drink, right? And all that kind of stuff. And he goes, I just watched you, and you just kept doing that with each person. And, those 10 cents add up, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, bottom line, I had to make sure I beat last year's number, those types of things, and wanted to always be the top, you know, uh, store in the chain. There was only 6 of them, so I only had to beat 5 others. But that was kind of my shtick, if you will, back then. So
That's hilarious. Message for any listeners who are owners and always, because one of the biggest challenges I hear from owners is, ironically, it's hard to get good people, right? For your own team. And like start being aware of people you encounter. Someone cold calls you. Are they any good? Server in a restaurant. Like be open-minded as to where you might find talent, because what's more important than experience is actually attitude, mindset, work ethic, resilience, drive, that kind of stuff, which you can find talented people anywhere. And to go from a server in a restaurant to recruiting job, that's a life-changing opportunity, right? So
well, and
that's
it was a lot of hours. I mean, that was as I say, it was a mall chain store basically, and we couldn't afford an assistant manager, so I was there pretty much from open to close. I'd had some high school kids that worked in the afternoon where I could take a few hours break if need be, deal with family and whatnot. But I mean, opened the store. The mall opened at 8. I had to be there at 7 because of all the people who work there to get their orders and whatnot, or the mall closed at 9 and, we were there till 10 at least. So, I mean, it was long hours, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the whole 9 yards. So it was a lot of hours. So in my mind, and we'll get to this later, but one of the things for me, it was I was used to working a million hours. So I still to this day don't think of this as, oh, it's a Monday through Friday job and you end at 5 and, take the weekends off. I mean, I just work. I mean, I have some other things, obviously have family and those types of things, but I take my breaks when I need to, and then I come back and I sit down and do work. So,
All right. We'll definitely come back to talking about the work, the hours, that kind of stuff. One thing your story made me think of is, so my daughter is an assistant manager at a pub and hotel chain here in the UK. And she is very competitive, and she likes to be at the top of the sales leaderboard for upsells, and how much what your takings were for the shift and all that kind of
budding
stuff.
recruiter
So
right there.
there you go, there you go.
I had a great success as I was hiring people. I would go to malls and shop, just want, window shop, if you will. But I mean, go and find people from that standpoint. I had really good success with people in malls, enterprise rental car place. They have a really good program. And then I also, as I was looking for people, I really looked for people that, like in college, had dual both their schooling and some kind of sport. Those people really are good at discipline. They're really good at knowing, hey, I got two different jobs, basically, kind of a thing, and managing it. So I learned just from trial and error, if you will, what would work and what wouldn't work with people from that standpoint. So to finish the story, though, as I get hired, I sucked in the beginning. I mean, 6 months went blank, no placements, nothing. And this manager just kept sticking with me. Just a great guy. He's my mentor, and ended up becoming my partner later on, and really, really my best friend. But he kept trying, and I just wasn't getting it. I would say the biggest reason that I wasn't doing well was when I took this job, I didn't think this was the career for me. I was like, okay, well, I'll take this job, but I'm still going to look for some kind of restaurant management job. That's what I knew. That's what I felt like I was able to do. So I was still throwing my resume out there, looking for a restaurant manager job. I was trying to go to night school to try to work on a degree. I was selling Tupperware. I don't know if you've heard
I'm familiar
people
with
that
the
do that.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like parties and stuff, or
parties. I was doing parties in
okay.
the nights and parties on the weekends because as I said, I had a little 6-month-old baby. Who ended up being a year by the time I finally started doing well. But we needed diaper money. We needed baby food. We needed stuff like that. So I was selling Tupperware, and so I was trying to do this job. Well, I finally got an offer at a donut shop. And at the time, it was good money. It was nearly $30,000, which back in '82 was a lot of money. I go in, I tell Jim, hey, I got an offer. I'm going to leave. Probably good news for you, right? Because I knew I had been a waste of time for him from that standpoint at that point. And he wouldn't let me quit. He was like, no, this was a Friday. He said, no, you think about it over the weekend. Let me know on Monday. If you really want to leave, I'm not going to stop you. But man, if you would just ever focus and do this job, you would just be really good at it. I'm like, oh, geez, Jim, you were just making this so hard on me. So I did the proverbial walk. I went to my desk and got stuff, put it in a box, and I go to walk out. And there was our island of people. I don't know if people still do it that way, but there was 8 desks all kind of put together. And I walk around the corner to go out the door, and I hear some of the not nice comments that these people were sitting there saying. Oh my God, thank God we're finally rid of that guy. What a waste, and some other choice words. And I just heard my stepdad's voice. You're never going to amount to anything. You're horrible, blah, blah, blah. And it just pissed me off. And I turned around and I walked back to my desk, put the box on my desk, and I said, I'll see you guys on Monday. And they were all like, oh shit, what just happened? Kind of a thing.
That is awesome.
And so I left. I turned down the offer. I'm like, okay, I don't know, I forget the story, Odessa or whoever it was, burn the boats kind of a thing. Turned down the offer. Coincidentally, the school had just ended that time period. It was about the time to sign up for the next one. I said, all right, I'm not going to do any more classes. I called my manager of the Tupperware manager place and said, here's all my shows that I have booked. I'm out. Came into work on Monday and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. And Jim looks at me like, he goes, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm going to work. He goes, you quit. I'm like, so I talked to him. I told him what I had done. He goes, all right, I'll give you a little bit of time, but I don't know if anything's going to change. I found out later he was messing with me, right? Just to make me really commit. But I sat down. This is a Monday. I had nothing in the works. I had no send outs going on, no job orders, nothing. By Friday, I had made 2 placements.
Holy smokes, in 2 weeks.
In
1 week, you got 2 deals.
2 placements.
Wow.
Now, back then, they were little baby ones, right?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
I get it.
One was like $1,300 fee and one was like a $1,600. I mean, they were baby fees.
Yeah.
But from then on, I was like, oh, I get it. If you commit, you're all in. This is a fun business. And so that was September. So I started in February. September, I made 2.
How old were you at this point, Rich?
Well, I started in 82, 22.
22. Okay. So I was 23 when I started in recruiting. So
Yeah.
similar
So I
age.
ended up making like 14 placements in those September through December time period. So, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm hooked. I like this. This is fun.
I need to share something that caught my attention. Recruiterflow has tracked their customer performance data, and they're seeing clients achieve up to a 30% uplift in average GP per desk after adopting their AI features. Let that sink in. Same team, same market, but 30% more productive because they're leveraging AI to handle the busy work so recruiters can focus on relationship building. Recruiterflow is an AI-first ATS and CRM purpose-built for recruitment agencies and search firms. One of our clients, Miguel, recently told me he wishes he'd found it sooner because it's transforming his business. And that's exactly why I agreed to partner with them. I'm hearing that kind of feedback consistently from our members who've made the switch. This isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter with the right tools. Book a demo at recruitmentcoach.com/recruiterflow to see if it's right for your business. That's recruitmentcoach.com/recruiterflow. Recruiting is that one of those jobs where it can either be the best job in the world when you're doing well, or it's the worst job ever if you're not doing well, right? So it's funny how just doing well, feeling successful, making money, suddenly it feels like, hey, this job is awesome. So commitment, obviously something, there was a switch that got flicked when you were 100% committed. But then how do you go from there, almost taking a job as a manager of a donut shop, to becoming a Pinnacle Society member and a top biller?
Well, so I would say I had to learn my superpower, if you will, right? I mean, what am I really good at? I'm really good at cadence, having this is how you do it every day. I I say this to people, and I believe it in my brain. I'm not really good at any one thing in this business. I mean, I don't like negotiating. I don't like any kind of conflict, which is why I was never really a good manager. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of things. I'm just not that good at all these pieces, right? But when you put them all together and you have a cadence and you have certain things that you really believe in. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of the golden rule, all about relationship building, and then the cadence. Those are probably my three things that I would, hang my hat on, if you will. You put those together, and it makes a 44-year career, right? I mean, that's
44
what it is.
years. Wow, that's crazy. So I've heard you say success is cadence, not luck. What
Oh,
can you
wow.
explain what you
You read about
mean?
me here.
Yeah, of
So
course. We do our research, Rich. This is a professional show. Um, so talk about the daily habits, when you say cadence, what are you talking about? What does that look like?
um, it's little things and big things. Like, each month I have certain things that I have to do to start the month. Like, send an email out to all the people that have said that they were actively looking 6 months ago, as an example. Um, uh, Placed people, I keep tabs with them. Even though I've placed them 2, 3, 4 years ago, I keep tabs with a certain group of placed people typically on their anniversary each month. I shouldn't even say typically. I mean, on their anniversary month, from that standpoint. Um, and then there's the daily routines. I mean, I write a planner um, every day. I mean, I still have to write it down. What are the things? Who the people I'm going to call each day, on the candidate side, on the client side, on the putting together side. This person had an interview yesterday and whatnot. Um, I still write it down. Funny story on that one is, my wife was pregnant, and I'd gone home that day, and I forgot to bring my planner with me. I never do that, but I forgot to bring it home. The water breaks in the middle of the night. I'm like, "Oh, crap, I don't have my planner. What am I gonna do?"
That's the first thought.
So
My planner.
so we get to the hospital. The hospital was, 10 minutes away from my office at the time. The doctor's like, "It's gonna be a long night. You're nowhere close. It's gonna be a while." I go, "Oh, does that mean I have time to run to my office and get my planner and come back?" He says yes, she says no. So, I do some negotiating on that one, but I ran over, got it, and came back. And then that way I was in my brain, at least I knew I was ready for the next day if there was any calls that I had to do, from that standpoint. But I was there for the baby. I was there for the whole thing. It was definitely one of those. For the longest time, I was in deep water on that one, but, we all survived.
So, tell me about your planner. Is it one you've created for yourself, or is it one
Yeah,
that you bought?
I've had this. This is the planner here. I mean, it's right here. I've had this planner for nearly 40 years.
So
And
it's like a ring binder with inserts, right?
yeah, and I did an Excel spreadsheet just where I wanted all the boxes, um, and now I just copy it, and there's usually 20 to 30 pages in there so I can put notes in and
You designed the layout yourself and then you print it out?
nothing fancy. I mean, really, client calls, candidate calls, interview things. I mean, it's nothing fancy. It's just I couldn't find one anywhere that I liked. Everybody had their own little. Oh, let's talk about introspection today, or let's talk about this, or no, I don't need that. I just need my calls, right, kind of a thing. So, and I use an applicant tracking software as well. We use Job Diva now. We used to use WinSearch until Microsoft had their, final line of, we're not going to play with anybody unless you have this, criteria. So we switched to Job Diva. But I write these and every day, for who I'm going to call. And the other day, about 2 weeks ago, Job Diva went down for some reason, and I still was making my calls because I
So
wrote them
you're
all down
handwriting out the phone numbers and all that?
every day.
Okay. Now, let's talk about this for a sec. How long does that process take? The just planning, thinking about who do I need to call, what it's about, here's the number.
I do it. I have to do it at the end of the day. I can never do it in the morning because then for some reason in my head, I'm not in charge of the day.
I
So I
get
come
that.
in, I have my planner, and I just sit down and I start working on my whatever's on my planner for that day. Um, but
So end of the day, what time is that?
depends on the day. Last night it was at 9:30.
Okay.
um,
And
you know,
how long, like how many minutes does it take to write out your plan?
I I usually anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour.
Okay, yeah. So this is like serious planning time, but that's gonna like maximize your productivity the next day, right? So it's have you ever not done it and how did that feel?
Rarely that I don't do it. Um, and the next day is usually like I feel like I'm running in quicksand. I'm like, I just never feel like I'm gonna get caught back up, kind of the thing. So
This is like one of those things. I've had a couple of people on the podcast who have a similar process to you, Rich. But I feel like a lot of recruiters these days just kind of wing it. Like they kind of just
I could never
like
do that.
hour to hour, day to day. They're kind of winging it, which I don't know how you can maximize your productivity if you don't have a plan. So tell me, like, I just really want to understand. So you've got clients you need to call, you've got candidates you need to call. Are there any other sections or boxes in that planner?
Um, Sometimes there's personal calls that I have to, call a doctor. I'm old now. I have a lot of doctors calls I have to do. Um, um, it just there depends where they are in the process, right? If it's an interview happened, okay, follow up with the client, follow up with the candidate. Hey, make sure that you get the thank you note over to somebody, or get references done. So there's references on there of people I have to reach out to. It's all the things that we do, right? I mean, in the pursuit to make placements. So
So you don't have like top three objectives for the day or any like these are my MPC, this is my MPC for the day, or this is the number one job I need to recruit on, or like is there any other things to make help you focus on the right things?
it depends on what the day is, of course. I mean, there's certain days where it's, hey, this person's um, had their interview yesterday. The client wants references. My day is all about references. So those are the top calls that day. Um, this company just said we need XYZ person. Okay, I'm going to attack finding somebody for that job. I don't do MPC calls. I know you probably don't want that said, and Danny definitely doesn't want that said.
No, that's I want to know your process, Rich, not what other people do.
I
I want
know,
to,
but
yeah.
it's not the preferred way. I early on in my career had a client that I made a placement with, and it was his old school. This is early '80s. And my person started, and the guy called. He was the president, basically, of the organization. He calls and goes, "Come on in, and I'll give you your check." I'm like, "Okay." So I go over there, sit down at his desk, after quick pleasantries, and he had this big old style checkbook. I don't know if you've ever seen those. You're relatively young, but big old style checkbook. And he starts writing, and he looks up at me. And he goes, you're I don't know how PC you want this show. So he called me a name. And I'm like, what? I'm shocked. I'm hurt, right? I'm like, what the heck? Why are you saying that? I got you a really good person. Why are you saying that? He goes, you just aren't asking me the right question. I'm like, "Mm, the right question?" He goes, yeah, look at this book. Like, it's your checkbook. He goes, what's in it? I go, checks. He goes, how many? I go, it looks like a lot. He goes, I'm writing you one. Wouldn't you like more of them? I'm like, well, yeah, of course, right? Oh, okay. So the question, what other jobs do you need or you need filled, right? So finally, like after several promptings, it hit me. And he goes, son, you've got to learn. We write you the checks. Just ask. What do you need? We'll write you the check. So from then on, I realized my customer, my business is going to be the client who has those checks. And so I fill jobs. I don't place applicants. I fill jobs. Now, a really good friend of mine who was at the company that I was with, he is the exact opposite. He placed applicants. He could have 12 jobs open that the rest of the team had open. Nope, I don't. Everybody's working on those. I have this really good candidate, and I'm going to go find them a job. And that's what he did. And we both were really good at what we did. And we would argue with each other all the time. Our way was better, but we both made a lot of money. So there's tons of ways to do this business,
That is true.
but you just
All
have to
right.
be dedicated to go do the business.
All right. I love that story. So let's circle back to the cadence because I want to make sure. So I understand the daily planning is part of that cadence. Is there anything else that's like a daily discipline that or a habit that you feel has been instrumental to your success, Rich?
Well, as I said, live by the golden rule. I mean, that's just it. People sit there and talk to me. It's like, all right, I have a dog. I always clean up what my dog did, right? There's times that people aren't looking. I could leave it, but the right thing to do is to pick up from what the dog did, right? Kind of a thing. So it's doing those things when you're not being watched, at, just like you're being watched, kind of a thing. And that took me a while to learn that one. But I'll tell you, if you treat people right and you work on building good relationships with people, you're gonna have, as I said, a long-term business. So
Exactly. I mean, every big biller I've ever coached, interviewed, worked alongside has always had a very long term perspective rather than a short term. How much can I, you know, get in the short term? They've always had a longer term time horizon, which does shift the way that you view people and treat people. Are there any other activities that would be like daily or weekly activities for you, Rich?
well, as I say, within the cadence, I mean, just I mean, I utilize technology, emails. I used to, before all the email stuff, I mean, I would use uh, newsletters that I would put together that I would put on the photocopier, right, and
Yeah.
mail them out
You'd
to
mail them out?
people.
Yeah.
But that was a thing that I did very regularly. Glad I don't have to do that anymore. But
Do you have an email newsletter?
you know, that is actually something that I have stopped doing as regularly as I used to do. Because I just kept finding if you sent things out, then you ended up on spam lists, right? Because the systems, not the people, but the systems thought that you're spamming people. So I do much more targeted emails these days from that
I
standpoint.
I
So,
would I think you should go back to it, Rich, actually. It depends. You have to use the right platforms and set it up, the infrastructure in such a way that it doesn't affect your sender reputation of your primary domain. The other thing you can do is a LinkedIn newsletter. Um, that's another way to get your content out there.
yeah, I've been starting to try to do that more regularly from a blogging or whatever you want to call it, right? Newsletter blogging, but things out on LinkedIn. So
Calling and emailing, like how many calls, how many emails per day, per week do you feel like if I continue at this pace, things are going to happen?
I used to really focus on the number of calls. But it doesn't matter how many calls you make, it's how many you connect with, right? So,
Exactly.
for me
Yeah,
now,
sure.
it's more, all right, how much time did I actually spend physically talking with people? I shoot for 3 to 4 hours a day on that. The rest of the time is research. I mean, you can get sucked down the rabbit holes and whatnot these days, obviously, from that standpoint. So I have a program that just keeps tabs of, all right, how much physical time was on the phone, and I look at that, and if I'm under the 3, I'm like, "Oop, didn't do the job that I needed to do yesterday," and if I'm at least over that, then, okay, I'm on the right path from that standpoint. So, Um, I used to be really micro-focused on that stuff, but I'm less concerned with that these days. It's just me and my wife kinda working together at this point, and, I'm 67. I'm not striving to be, um, I I wouldn't be striving to be in Pinnacle at this point, you know? I still do enough that would qualify me, but I don't need to do $1,000,000 years anymore. I don't need to do, um, to beat anybody. I doesn't matter to me anymore.
You don't have anything left to prove. You're just like doing it because why wouldn't you? You're good at it. You enjoy it.
I love doing it. I
Yeah.
truly love doing this. I like helping the clients. I like helping the candidates. What am I else am I gonna do? I'm gonna sit on the sofa and watch Netflix all day, right? And right now, I've got my monies in savings and stocks and all that fun stuff, but I don't wanna touch it now. So why don't I just keep making placements now so that I enjoy our trips, and we're going to Alaska in a couple of months, and we're going to British Isles, early next year. So, I mean, I wanna be able to afford those kind of trips and not tap into the, retirement, if you will.
100%. The longer we can let that compound, the better, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, awesome. So you already understand the benefits of posting video content on LinkedIn. The problem is time. After all, you're a recruiter, not a full-time content creator. Trusted Voice Video is built for busy recruitment business owners who know that video matters, but they don't want another job added to their plate. One 30-minute session per month gives you 30 days of short-form video content. We plan the topics, guide the conversation, edit the footage, and deliver ready-to-post videos. You'll never be stuck wondering what to say. You'll never worry about how you look or sound. We coach you through the session so you come across as clear, confident, and credible, even if you hate seeing yourself on camera. My colleague Sanjay manages the whole process. He already produces this podcast and my own video content, so if you like my content, then why not let us create yours as well? If you want your content working for you 24/7, head to recruitmentcoach.com/video and book a free strategy call. You mentioned references. Is that one of your core business development strategies, or why do you concentrate so much on references?
Well, references can give you so many things. One, it will help in the sales process, if you will. I mean, hey, look, this is what these people have had to say about this candidate. But get to meet new people. I don't make it blatant that, oh, hey, I'm only talking to you because I want to get something out of it for the future. But again, if all you're worrying about is building relationships with people, business will come from that standpoint. So it's talk to enough people and good things will happen.
That's a good philosophy. Talk to enough people, good things will happen. So, how many reference checks are you doing in a typical week, do you think?
Wow, I don't even know anymore. As I say, I used to keep such detailed numbers of how many calls did I make and which calls were they and how many recruits and how many referrals and um, I shoot these days for at least 2 placements a month. Figures it takes 2 to 6 people to get 2 placements a month, so I'm doing references on, let's say on average 4 times 3, so probably 12 references a month from that
Okay,
standpoint, so
that makes
it's
sense.
just quick math.
So,
I may have totally
so
messed that up,
you're
but
you're doing references for the candidates that you're submitting?
uh, I typically do it, if a client has liked the person and the person
Okay.
likes the client, then
So
it's like, okay.
after first interview.
Yeah, I used to do it a lot sooner, but I've gotten, I guess one of my, talents isn't the right word, but I'm really good at reading people. I can tell if somebody's giving me a line of horse poop, if you will. And so I wean those out myself at this point. Um, I do the same on the client side. I mean, if I won't work with a company that I don't think I would wanna work for. If I don't like the boss, I don't care what color your money is. I'm gonna move on to somebody else who I like them, right? I don't drink, I don't smoke. why would I help companies that make those kind of products? Why would I do that? Right? So, I mean, I have certain companies that I just won't work with. I used to have Kraft as a client ages and ages ago, in their dairy and a couple of the other areas that I placed people at. They got bought by, I just blanked on the cigarette company that bought them, but they got bought by a cigarette company. I said, I'm not working with Kraft anymore." It's like, I just why would I help those kind of companies produce their products that they're gonna hurt people? So, anyway, that's
I like it.
just me.
I can respect that. What I just want to give people a little more on the references because I feel like again, this is something that a lot of recruiters don't do anymore, and younger recruiters don't even know about this tactic. So obviously, it's good. It's a best practice anyway because then you're reassuring yourself that the person is who they say they are, and that they're, gonna probably the company's going to check references sooner or later anyway. So you're kind of just getting ahead of that process and making sure that everyone is going to check out. So you're ultimately delivering a better service to the client. But number two, as you say, it is an excellent way of meeting new people, potential clients, potential candidates, or referral sources. You never know where those conversations might lead, right? Um, One of the reasons that people tell me this is a kind of an excuse or an objection is, oh, Mark, people don't give references anymore because they're worried about the legal implication of saying something about a former employee. And so, you know, you can't use that technique anymore. I'm like, really?
Totally, totally false. Now, I will say there are definitely people that are gonna be listed that'll say, I really can't. I mean, it's our policy. We can't say anything." Okay. I mean, even those conversations, all right, well, here, I'll I totally agree with that, but let me ask you this question. Did you tell the person it's okay for them to use you as a reference? And if they're like, "No, no," I mean, you listen to how they answer it. You're gonna get a sense on, are they really kind of trying to dodge saying this person isn't a good person? Or are they literally, hey, corporate says I can't do this. Well, if on a friend side, I mean, what would you say just as a friend? Oh, as a friend. Oh, yeah, I would definitely tell you. Then they just off they go into the races, right, from that standpoint. But I also get, clients who will sit there and say to me, well, who's going to give a bad reference? It happens all the time. I mean, I mean, the one that stood out in my brain the most, this one person was like, "Well, yeah, now that he's got his drinking problem under control, yeah, he's a lot better."
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
"Okay, good to know,
That's
thank you."
funny. Yeah.
So yeah, references is a great tool to use from that standpoint. As I said, one, to help the candidate, in the process, but two, to keep building your group of clients and potential candidates and whatnot. So it's an old school lost art. I'm huge into thank you notes, making sure that the candidate sends a good thank you note and not just the lame, "Oh, it was really nice talking to you. I hope I hear from you." No, talk about something you guys talked about in the interview. And I have them send it to me. I'm like, send me what you want to send over to the client. Um, and part of it's a proofread, of course. But if I think it's lame, I'll tell them, no, do it again. This is, I won't rewrite people's resumes. I won't write their thank you notes, but I'll help talk them and walk them through it. I will tell you, I'm working on an HR manager job right now, or HR generalist, excuse me. The worst resume writers I've ever seen are this for this HR role. It's like, are you kidding me? Would you hire this if you got this resume on your side? Would you hire yourself? I can't imagine that you would. They're horrible. Absolutely horrible. I've had to tell more of these people to change their resumes than I ever have to tell IT people or production people or engineering people. And they aren't really great resume writers, but this HR job has just been a real eye opener for me. It's like, oh my gosh.
So, Rich, one final question that I'm like a dog with a bone that's referencing because you're one of the very few people who've mentioned this on the podcast. So I just want to take the opportunity. Do you immediately flip that and ask about recruiting for their firm, or do you wait and then call back another time? Like, what's your sort of approach to that?
One, certainly I thank them for the information that they've shared. And really, it's very organic to what they say. I mean, a lot of them recruit themselves, or they say, "Wow, hey, we don't get recruiters calling about references anymore." That makes you stand out, and then I can, well, that's what we do, and then you can take it down that path. But I don't push it. If they haven't said that, I'll just say, "Hey, do you mind if we keep tabs in the future?" And if they say no, o- okay. I mean, I abide by that. But if they say, "Oh, sure, yeah, no worries," um, I have part of my cadence. Okay, each of these every week, I have anywhere from 20 to 100 pop up on that week. And, some of it's lower because it's the Christmas week. Okay. I didn't have that many that week, or the 4th of July week or something like that. Right. So it depends on the week of kind of which ones have heavier or not. But then Monday through Friday, I kind of plan out my who am I going to reach, and then I write them down on my planner each of the Monday through Friday days, and kind of go from there. So the biggest heavy, when you had asked this before, and I should have mentioned this, my heaviest amount of time on the planning is actually weekends. I will actually map out the whole Monday through Friday of the things that are already on my ATS calendar, right? From that standpoint. And as I say, I mean, systems go down. Could I just call it from there and not have to have this planner? Yeah, I could, but I see it on the planner. Oh, I'm supposed to call this place on Tuesday. Let's go to their website. Oh, they have 2 jobs. Okay, now I know to talk to them about those 2 jobs. Or no, they don't have anything on there, but still got to reach out to them. They remember me. I keep tabs with clients every 3 months, and I keep tabs of candidates every 6 months. So
Okay, I was about to ask you, how often are you keeping in touch with these?
quarterly with the client, unless they tell me that's too often. Okay, what do you prefer? My favorite line is basically, essentially, I want to be able to keep tabs with you so that, I'm not a pest, but I'm persistent. And they'll laugh and, okay, give me a call in 3 months, or give me a call in whatever they say. And it depends on what they, some say, don't call me till next year. Okay. So, I mean, my thought is there's plenty of fish in the sea. I don't have to piss anybody off. I mean, I get told, well, if you put it in a year, you may be missing out. Uh, but I'm still doing what they want.
You've got a very gentle way of approaching relationships, Rich, which I think it's obviously working for you. I don't think recruiters have this reputation, I think, of being aggressive, or I don't think that's necessarily warranted. It certainly isn't in your case. Um,
I like persistent. I'll be
Persistent,
persistent.
yeah. I call it the 3 Ps, Rich: polite, professional, persistent. If you're polite and professional, you can get away with being quite persistent and you're not going to upset anyone.
That is true. I like that. I may adopt that 3 Ps.
There you go. Okay, so we've not even talked about you launching your own firm. How long have you had your own business now?
Well, I started in '82. And I was working for another firm, and I built up about a $2 million business between IT and when I started in this industry was I placed chemists. Um, but I wanted to do the IT side, so I started that up. So I had two teams of recruiters that I was still running a desk, but I was managing 2 teams. And I sat down with the owner one day and basically was like, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you about getting a little bit of an equity stake here or something, right? Part of it." And at the time, he was like, "No, no, I'm giving this business to my kids." I'm like, "Well, we're in the recruiting industry. You know what you're telling me then, right? I mean, if I want to do this, I got to move on." And essentially, he goes, "Yeah, I'm not worried about it. You don't have the cojones to go do that." I'm like, "Okay."
Wow, he didn't know your history and the fact that that is the one thing that's gonna make you wanna do it.
Yeah. So then I left that office and I went to Jim's office, my mentor. Say, hey, just want to give you the heads up. I just had this meeting, and I'm going to leave. And just wanted to give you the heads up before I do anything else. And he goes, hang on a second. And he called another person in and said, tell George what you just said. So I told George as well. He goes, okay, you guys ready to leave? And so all three of us left, and we started up our a company together. And um, we did it for a good number of years. And I I will tell you, Jim was fantastic as a mentor and a manager. He genuinely would just sit down. He had no problem sitting there for an hour, 2, 3 hours with people to just help them through problems and talk to them and whatnot. And my style was watch what I do and do what I do, and you'll make money. Um, and it doesn't work well with very many people. They don't like that way. And I was not able to make that switch. So at some point I finally said, all right, I need to just go do this on my own. And we parted ways and I started up Team Bradley. But great times with the two of them from building a business. We had about 35 employees, recruiter wise, and um, I tried having other recruiters underneath me here with Team Bradley, but when I ended up getting cancer, and just real perspective on no, why am I doing things I don't like to do? I'm only going to do things I like to do, and that is helping candidates, helping clients, put them together, and I don't need to deal with all the antics that recruiters put you through. So,
When was this, Rich?
the conscious decision to not have any employees
No, like
in
when you got the
2014.
cancer diagnosis and you kind of decided, "Hey, do you know what? I'm gonna do things the way I wanna do them."
2014, so 12
Okay,
years ago now.
wow.
Yeah.
Over 10 years. Gosh,
So
that's
it put a real different perspective in life, right? I mean, as I say, I only do the things that I like to do or want to do now instead of the things that, you know, you don't want to do. So,
absolutely. I think that's a very valuable, um was that just like an instant like, what how did you come to that realization?
well, as I was dealing with, I mean, my cancer actually was discovered because I hurt my back. And I went in to have them figure out how to fix my back, and they're like, "Oh, you have a different problem. We got to fix." I'm like, "What? No, fix this back. I'm in so much pain." They're like, "Yeah, you'll die if we don't we don't fix this one. So we're fixing this one, and then we'll fix your back." So I went through 2014 was pretty much a non-year for me. I mean, from that standpoint, I mean, I kept trying to do what I thought I was doing placement wise, but it just was really, really tough. So I had probably one of my worst years ever just because of that. And ended up having to go through 3 different surgeries between the cancer and the back surgeries, and came out the other end, and I'm good, I'm fine, right, from that standpoint. But, my wife and I sat down and kinda reassessed. It's like, "Man, I could have not been here anymore." So we realized what we like and what we don't like, and so we went down kind of a different path from that standpoint. So, and then 2 years ago now, I had a second, bout of cancer and, just reinforced, "Okay, we made the right choices here. Let's do what we like." And, I worked all the time, and so now, so in the last 10 years or so, we've traveled, we've visited places, taken time away from the business and whatnot. So, um, I still love doing what I do, but I also like the time when I'm not doing what I do what I'm doing. So, from that standpoint, so
What would you say at the moment is your, like, roughly how many weeks do you take off? How many hours are you working? And how has that changed from when you were kind of, working around the clock?
well, I still kinda work around the clock
Okay.
because now the kids are grown, so now it's, the things that I used to take a lot of time off, with kids' activities or taking them to this and doing that and helping by coaching and all that kind of fun stuff. Now we have a dog, so we take time off for the dog, and we down here in Florida, so we've got a golf cart so that we can drive the dog around because she loves doing that. So I still take time off, but it's different. As I said, now it's more Amy and I try to have date nights and activities and then trips. As I said, we went to Australia, we went to Hawaii the last couple of years. We're going to Alaska here in a few months. So I mean, it's just we kind of look at, okay, what activity do we want to do, and then we kind of map it out, and then we'll work on taking the time to go, or doing a lot of work so that we can take that time and go do whatever it is from that standpoint. So
Love that. Have you been to Scotland?
British Isles is next year.
Okay.
So
There you go.
that is actually we're going to do a cruise around the area, and so we can actually see a number of the different sites up in that area. So really good friends of ours live in London, so we're going to end there and then spend probably a week or two with them as well. So we did that 2 years ago with them. We went to England, Spain, Portugal, France. It was when the Olympics were going on, so we actually took our youngest daughter to the Olympics to see. She was a rower in college, and we took her to actual Olympic rowing events, so she loved it. So
That's amazing. Rich, speaking of the holidays, I a lot of business owners don't give themselves time off. And I think the reason is they're worried that if I go away for a week, then I'm going to miss opportunities, or, my clients no, like I won't be in touch with my clients. How do you approach that situation?
well, unfortunately, I probably fall into that line of I mean, it's hard for me to take time off from that standpoint. But I don't do new things during those times. I mean, just if we have interviews going on, certainly keep tabs with that because, hey, I mean, I'd love to make a $20,000 or $30,000 placement while I'm on vacation and pay for the whole thing, right? But I don't work on new things. I'm not actively calling new candidates to try to get them out to a company. And because it's just Amy and I at this point with nobody else. I mean, we're gone, that light's off, and we're out of here, right? Kind of a thing. So we'll respond by email or call somebody if there's an urgent call from that standpoint. But we really do when we're out, we're trying to enjoy whatever it is.
But you'll still manage interviews or offers or whatever while you're on vacation then. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So it's kind of like, I think that's the thing when you run your own business is, it's not necessarily you're ever going to switch off completely. It's sort of like you can take time during the week and do, like, look after your dog, your kids, go to activities. And then the flip side is when you're on vacation, you might have to do some business as well.
Yeah, very true, very true. And again, maybe it was from those restaurant days, and then having to hustle just to. I mean, in high school, I had 4 jobs. I did high school while working 4 different roles because the place I was staying, I didn't want to um, not give them money, right? They didn't ask for it, but I just felt like, look, you're taking me in, you're doing this, so that I need to pay you guys. I didn't pay them a lot. Newspaper, I made what, $20 a week from that standpoint, right? And I would give them half, and they said keep the other half. So there was my $10, if you will, from that standpoint. So they were super great people from that standpoint. Um, and I just worked, and so I don't know anything other than you work. That's what you do. So
Rich, let me ask you a couple. I should have asked you these questions at the very beginning, but people always want to know. So, first of all, your industry, you're placing people in technology, right? IT and AI.
primarily, as I say, I started in lab, placing chemists for the first 2 or 3 years. Started up IT after that, and I've been doing IT for predominant Chicagoland IT. But over the last several years, we've turned it into more boutique, if you will, where if I have a really good client that I like, why keep reinventing the wheel? What else do you have? What else, like that checkbook? What else can you use my help on?
Okay.
So we
Hence
filled
the HR generalist role.
exactly HR, production manager we just filled, a sales job we filled here recently. Um, of our placements this year, though, still over half, almost 60% are still on the IT side. So IT is still my main area. I mean, I've got 40 years worth of contacts and whatnot. So, but the nice part is I call a company that, of somebody who's a DBA. Hey, who's your production manager over there? Or who's the HR manager or whatever, right? I mean, it's an easy ask from that standpoint. So, and now with LinkedIn and, all the other tools that are out there, I mean, technology's changed a lot since '82. Obviously, I mean, I could go through a whole litany of the different things. I mean, it went from, no voicemails and, old time phones. And, when I first started, it was just switching from an applicant paid business to a client paid business, right? So, I mean, it is a huge, huge difference now.
So what's your tech? We were talking about interview earlier, Rich. What's your tech stack look like now?
Well, I said Job Diva is my applicant tracking system. Interview is our video system that I use, and then Office 365, right? I mean, for all the basic tools like that. I just started using something. Alan from Pinnacle had mentioned it's something called Whisper Flow, where you can talk all your whatever you want to say instead of typing it all.
Oh
Um,
yeah, like
um,
a voice to text
Yeah,
dictation
it's
kind
a
of thing.
really, really good tool, and it's like $12 a month, so it's nothing cost-wise from that
Shout out
standpoint.
to Alan Fisher. What a great
Yep,
guy.
thank you,
Yeah.
Alan. That was Alan's, cool thing that we were actually doing a whole 'nother session. It just was a quick little thing he said, I'm like, "Wait a minute, I hate typing." I mean, I can type, but I hate doing it, so I'm playing with it, and I think I'm gonna definitely sign on for that on it because you can save some money if you do an annual instead of $12 a month, so.
What do you use Interview for?
We do several things with Hinterview. We record job descriptions so that we have an actual copy of it instead of trying to be scribbled notes like I used to do. I mean, I would be somewhere and I would write down the notes on a napkin, kind of a thing. Um, so much better when you have the whole conversation where you can actually go back and listen to it and go, "Oh, I missed this part of that conversation or this little thing that they said." So I use it for that.
So
We
it's an AI note taker as well.
Yes, yeah. But the whole video, I mean, you get a chance to actually see the person or they paying attention and whatnot. As I say, I mean, I'm really good at reading people, and so it's real helpful when I can actually go back and actually see how they're saying what they're saying, not just what they're saying. Same thing with the candidates, and then uh, emails out to candidate, emails out to clients. I use it for that as well. So in with candidates and clients, out with candidates and clients.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you create a custom landing page for each candidate with a video and the other information, or like, is that how you're presenting candidates?
No, no, no. With the candidates, we still do the old school resume and bullet points and all that good fun stuff. But we do have 2 or 3 questions that the client says, "Hey, I'd like to see how they answer this question," and so they'll get snippets, not the whole conversation. But and then the candidate knows that too. I mean, this is all with their knowledge that this is information's going to the client. So
Absolutely. But those snippets, aren't they presented on a web page
yes, yeah.
that you send the client? So then you can see if the clients actually looked at those videos.
Yes, yeah, but we don't advertise that part, but it does help us know yeah, have they looked at it, when they've done it, and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, so.
And then do you do the same when you're presenting job opportunities to candidates? Do you create a video about the job or?
We've done that with a couple clients who actually, like that. Yeah, I would like them to see this. So, there are some that we've done that with. Not everybody not on the client side, not everybody is, "Oh, yeah, sure, that's a great idea." So, again, I'm not a arm twister, I'm not pushy. If I'll suggest it as an idea, and if they don't like it. Okay,
All right.
your choice, kind of a thing. So
Wow, you seem like a very easygoing, kind of just flexible guy.
I hate conflict. I hate having any. I mean, again, from my upbringing. I mean, anybody who raises their voice, I'm out. See ya. Bye. Kind of a thing. So
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. What's an average fee value for you these days?
somewhere 25 to 30, somewhere in that range. Um, Salaries anywhere from 100 to 200 in that general range.
Fantastic. So even though you're kind of going at a slower pace these days, you're still targeting yourself for 50K a month on average.
Oh, yeah, yeah, at least. I'm actually shooting for 6 to 7 a month. I mean, 6 to 700,000 for the year.
Okay, fantastic. Wow. What were your best years?
Over a million, but not a lot over a million. I would say 1.1, 1.5 or oh 05, not 1.5. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. So right around the million. And then I realized I hit the cancer stuff. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Let's reassess.
Yeah. Some
I don't
things
need
are more important.
I don't need to work that hard, to just enjoy life as well. So
Yeah. Have you ever calculated or estimated your lifetime career billings?
yeah, yeah, 30 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
a lot. And that's just me. That's not even counting the people that I had working for me and whatnot. So I'm pretty
You know
excited
Jen
about.
Mayer, right?
Mhm.
From Pinnacle. She's got a great formula for calculating the impact that you've made, where she takes um, the salary value. Is it the placement value or the salary value? I need to refresh my memory. Multiply by 2 because it's the impact on the client and the candidate, right? At least. I mean, there's a ripple effect that goes far beyond that, of course, like the company and the community and the family and everything else. But even if just keep it simple, and she's had like $1 billion of impact in the world through the placements she's made. I imagine in your career, it's probably even bigger than that.
Yeah,
So
and I misquoted. It's actually 28 million, not
28 million. Okay, that's
28.
close
Sorry.
enough.
Um,
That's a lot of impact, Rich. And thank you for having an impact for our listeners as well. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure people will come away with lots of inspiration and also practical things they can implement.
well, I hope I was of help, and it's been a great pleasure to actually have a conversation with you. We didn't even get into so many of the subjects I thought you were going to cover. So
Well, we'll need to do
only
a
so
part
much
2
time.
sometime then. Yeah. All right, Rich, have an awesome weekend.
Thanks, you
Great to
too.
see you. Take care. All right, before you go, there are 3 specific habits from Rich that you can start using immediately. First, plan your day the night before. Rich still uses a handwritten planner that he designed himself. He spends 20 minutes to an hour writing down exactly who he's going to call, including clients, candidates, references, follow-ups. He says if he skips this, the next day feels like he's running in quicksand. Second, measure talk time, not activity. Rich tracks how many hours he's actually speaking to people, and his target is 3 to 4 hours a day, not emails, not admin, real conversations. And third, build reference checks into your workflow. After a successful first interview, Rich runs references not just to validate the candidates, but to meet new people. He uses those conversations to build relationships and generate future business. Apply those 3 disciplines consistently, and you'll operate on a completely new level. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.